Okay, here I've started the Studio 5000 program, and I'll show you how to make a similar one coil program, and then one input and one output. So it's the most basic thing we can do. No timers, no counters, no special functions, just really basic stuff. So let me show you the process. I don't like to change much of anything when I start the program up. I go to the controller organizer. I click on main program, the arrow, click on main routine, and I'm in. Okay. So here's the blank space that I can write the program. So what I'll do is I'll click on a coil. Notice this is different. We don't have the menu down the right hand side. We have it across the top. I might be able to rearrange that, but this is the default view of the screen, and it's what I've always used, and I'm okay with it. It's just the way they do it. So I'll click on coil. What I'll do right here is I'll right click on new tag, give it a name. I'll put 0. Okay. And this program's different. I have base tags and I have alias tags. A base tag exists inside the controller but doesn't go to the outside world. So I need an alias tag because I want to turn on an output. So it's an alias 4. This is the output tag. These are the output connections here. These are the input connections. I, O. Okay. So let's click on the O. Let's click on data. Let's select output 0. Okay, so there's a lot of clicking going on there. But I kind of go down through the menus. I click output, I click data, and then the output number, output 0. Okay. Notice the scope of this tag. So the scope of this tag is it exists at the highest level, which is the controller level. The program level is below the controller level. If I select program level, I can only access that tag in the main program. So I know at this point that makes no sense, but I can have multiple programs running inside the controller at any time. So sometimes I want the data to be shared, sometimes I don't. But for now, we'll just make sure that it's at the highest level. Okay, so I create that. It's complaining because I think I made a mistake somewhere. Let's see what the problem is here. And I'll put 0. Oh, that's curious. That's a curious problem. Let me explain what the problem is. Right here, the data type is wrong. I don't know why it did that. It shouldn't have. So let's right click on the tag name. Let's edit the properties. Where it says integer, I'm going to type Boolean. It won't let me change it. Okay, let's see what's wrong here. Output 0. Data 0. Okay, that's what that was the problem. What I did was, this is a good example of making a mistake. If I click on the word data, see how the 0 disappears. So the word data represents all 16 bits, which is an integer. That's a number. If I click on the bit 0, now it's referring to that individual output. Take it. Let's try one more time. Let me click on a different one, and I'll click on the one I want, which is 0. So it's very particular. Unfortunately, you have to make sure that everything is just right. So I wanted to type Boolean in here, but I couldn't because it was actually an integer, a value of 16 bits. So here, bool is the correct data type. So now it's not red. So notice whenever the line is red, there's something wrong, and you can't go any further until you figure out what it is. Okay, so this is a good example of when things go wrong, but if you look close enough, you'll find the problem. So for right now, that's fine. That's all I want. What I need to do now is download this program to the controller so it can execute. So what I do is I click on, let me make sure I'm on the right network. I'm not. So let me change networks so I can download it. Give me a second to do that. I have to change the IP address of the network interface card. I have to put it on that network. So I'm going to pick an address of 1.55 because the PLC is 1.222. So I'll just close all these windows. I don't know if you can see me or not. Once I get on the right subnet, I can click on the three dots, which is who is active. It will search for a target system, and there is 222. So all these other controllers and devices are X'd out. They do not exist. I can get rid of those if I right click and remove them. I just have to remove each one so I don't bother with it. If you click on it one time and wait, you'll click download and wait again, and it will make the connection to the controller. It's taking a little while to connect to it. There it goes. It should ask me a question if I really want to download it. Okay, so I'll say yes. So it's a little more complex, or a lot more complex than the Easy Logic's controller. It just has more settings, I would say, more options, and they all have to be just right. So it's downloading the data right now across the Wi-Fi connection. It seems like it's taking a little longer than usual, but probably just because I'm about 100 feet away from the controller. Okay, so it's finalizing the download. It's going to go back to run mode. Okay, everything worked. So what I've got is I've got some green bars on the left side and the right side. That tells me that it's running. It also tells me up here that it's in run mode. It says here that it's in remote run mode. So I've got lots of indicators. One thing you'll start to look at as you work more with the system, you look for the controller OK indicator, and you want to look at the I/O OK. So just so you know things are okay. So right now it's running. Let's add a contact to it. Okay, so what I'll do here is a little different. Right click, go to edit mode. So it's running this at the bottom. So it's currently running the program. So let's add a contact. I'm going to call this test. I'll just make up a name. Then I'll right click, make a new test. It's a base tag this time. It's a Boolean tag. This all looks good. So I'll just click create. Not sure why it's so slow. I want to say it's the distance. I'm pretty far away from the controller. It seems like it's hanging up a little bit. I'll give it a minute here. It hasn't said that it's not working. It's just taking a while. Okay, there it goes. The one thing about this program, and as you're seeing it right now live, as I'm trying to get it to work, sometimes it just sort of hangs up and wants to think a while. And so you have to learn to be very patient with it. If it crashes, it will tell you that it's crashed. You don't want that. But whatever it's doing in the background, it just takes a while sometimes. So all I've done at this point is I've added this contact. I still have to accept the changes. So that's this button. I'm going to click on that. I have a feeling I'll have to wait again for a while, but I've clicked on it. And it should start to process the change and integrate it into the program. So there it goes. So do I want to do this? Yes. There it goes. So what you'll see in a second is that we'll shrink this back down and include the test contact. And we'll be ready to go. Okay, so notice now the output turned off because this contact is open. So if I right click on it, I can toggle it. And when I do that, of course the output turns on. So it's a lot of effort to get it to work, but it works great when it does. And so by toggling it, right click toggle, I can turn it on or off. This is the same thing as doing a right click force on in the other program. So they're different, but they're the same. In this software, I can add timers and different functions as well, but I won't do that in this program. I just want to show you the bare basics, right? So let's say I want to add another output. What I would do is click on this symbol to add a blank rung in the program. And I would click on the coil. Let's call it output 1. Okay. Right click, new output 1. Say alias for output data bit 1. Okay. So I want to look at it, make sure it says data.1. I'll say create that. Let me add another contact. Maybe contact. I'm going to do that. We'll call it test 2. Right click, new test 2. It's a Boolean tag this time, so I'll create that. And I will finalize those edits. Okay. And now that is in the program as well. So test 2 is on output 1. If I right click, turn it on. If I right click this one, turn it on as well. So that's live. I can see the controller from here. It's actually turning on the outputs as I click these, as I toggle these tags right here. So there we have the basics on how to create a program, how to add instructions to it, download it, run it. Okay, so it's fairly repetitive. Once you have gotten the hang of the software, it's really simple. If you're working from a ladder logic diagram, all you're doing is dragging and dropping symbols. Okay, so let's say I want to add another contact here. I would click, drag. Of course, I have to go to edit mode first. I'll click and drag Notice I've got a green dot there, so I can drop it on the green dot only. So if I don't have a green dot, I can't drop it. So there we go. I'm going to call this test 3. Right click, new test 3, create, and then finalize. So now I have 2 contacts. If I click one, right click one and toggle it, the output is not on yet. If I right click, toggle the second one, the output is on. So this is AND logic, this and that. So, this is where it starts. We get a feel for the software. We start to drag and drop. But I will say that it's not a good idea to sit down and just start building a program in the software until you've done this a long time, because it's easy to get confused and it's not good structure to just start doing things. You really should plan it out on paper before you ever work with the software. So what I'm trying to show with this video is just how to do things, but you really need to have a plan before you start to actually program it. That way you can have a better structure and give it some thought before you just try to build something. It works better that way. Okay, so I'll stop this video now.